You're listening to Kauai's Community Radio, KKCR Hanalei and KAQA Kilauea, 90.9 FM on the North Shore and 91.9 FM on all other shores, 95.1 on the cable. And the request line here is 808-826-7771. And our toll-free number is 866-275-1112. Our website address is www.kkcr.org, and please send your emails to us at kkcr@kkcr.org. The following show may contain information that is not necessarily the opinions of KKCR staff or members. You're listening to Dr. Ann West on Truth from the Source. Join me on the first Sunday of the month at 12 noon on KKCR and weekly on glastonburyradio.com. You will hear discussions on important life, health, metaphysical, and environmental issues that could affect the well-being of our lives. Every show, I invite leading experts from around the world to share their cutting-edge solutions to everyday problems. So stay with us and share in the alternative ways to heal yourself and your world around you. For more information on how to download a show from Truth from the Source, go to www.drannwest.net. Welcome to Truth from the Source. This is Dr. Ann West, and today I'm interviewing Yogani. We're going to do part 7 of the Enlightenment series, and this part is about diet, Shatkarmas, and Amaroli. Part 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are all available on the aypsite.org website, and will also be available shortly on my own website, which is drannwest.net. But just to fill you in and bring you up to speed, Yogani is the founder of the Advanced Yogic Practice site. He has spiritual teachings and books available for anyone who's wishing to pick up these practices and transform their life and get on the path of enlightenment. So we're going to talk with Yogani for the next hour. Stay tuned. You're listening to Truth from the Source with Dr. Ann West. I'd like to welcome Yogani for part 7 of our Path to Enlightenment. Yogani, welcome to the show.
It's great to be with you again, Dr. Ann.
Yeah, we're making a habit of this, aren't we?
We are. I'm enjoying it thoroughly.
Me too. Okay, so we're doing diet, Shatkarma, and Amaroli, yogic nutrition and cleansing for health. So, Yogani, tell us. We know what we've all heard of diet, but tell us what Shatkarma is before we get into the all the other bits, how and why.
Well, sure. Shatkarma, that's a Sanskrit term that basically means cleansing technique. Mm-hmm. So the Shatkarmas are physical techniques that we can do that cleanse the body. And this particular book that we're talking about here covers a bunch of bodily things that we do, whether it's what we put in our body with diet or how we keep the various channels within the body clean. And then we also have Amaroli, which is a bit of a controversial subject. That's urine therapy. Mm-hmm. So it's all the physical stuff all rolled into one discussion.
Right. So this is a branch of yoga that is called purity. Is that right?
That's right. It's Santosa, and it's within the niyamas, which are the observances, and the niyamas are one of 8 limbs of yoga. So really, the Shatkarmas and the diet and the Amaroli are a sub branch of one of the 8 limbs of yoga, which I think is a correct classification, because while these are very important techniques, they're not primary in terms of developing divine consciousness.
No, they have to work.
At least from my point of view, they're supporting practices.
Yes. So you wouldn't just do these and expect to be on that path of enlightenment. You have to add it to all the other practices that we've been discussing over the past 7 months.
Well, there are those who do believe that if you put your attention solely on diet or solely on particular cleansing techniques, that you can achieve enlightenment that way. But I've never met anybody that's accomplished that so far.
I'm sure going through a lot of deprivation and fasting brings up a lot of things, and altered altered states of consciousness, as far as diet's concerned. I read a book. It's called The Path of the Masters, and it's an old book. And gosh, there's so much in there talking about, especially animal meat in the body and how dense it is, and carrying on the karma of after eating the animal. But you don't go into any of that stuff, huh? You don't go into that baggage.
I really don't think it's that helpful. It's only helpful if it applies to a particular person's beliefs. And people should honor their beliefs. I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. But I don't think it's appropriate to be imposing a belief system on people who may not be able to resonate with that. So from my point of view, diet is really pretty much a mechanical, neurobiological thing that relates to the unfoldment of consciousness through our nervous system, which includes our neurobiology and our assimilation and digestion of food. So if you look at it that way, and that's the way we look at all the techniques in AYP, we don't overlay belief systems on them or a lot of karmic projections, if you will. We just look at what's happening in the body and what can we do to make it more efficient and more progressive in terms of purification and opening. And then you have inner silence coming up and expanding and becoming energetic and blissful and ecstatic and more love flowing out. And that can happen within a belief system.
So can I ask you, do you eat meat?
I was a vegetarian for many years, and probably for the last 10 or 15 years I've gone back to some fish and fowl, but I haven't had red meat for probably 35 years. It's been a long time since I've had a hamburger, let's put it that way. Although there are suitable substitutes.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't even imagine eating a burger.
I think diet, and this really kind of gets to the core of the approach of this book and how diet and Shatkarmas fit into AYP. I think there's a period on everybody's path where what we're putting into our body and the cleanliness of our various digestive system and nasal passages and so on, there's a period on the path, and I call it the middle stage, where these things become quite critical because you have energy beginning to move at some point with the rise of inner silence, and that energy then runs into obstructions that are in our system, and the less pure our system is, the more blockages you're going to run into.
Right.
I'm not talking about physical, objects in our system. I'm talking about on the very subtle level, in the finest levels of the neurobiology. So at that stage, things like diet and Shatkarmas and even Amaroli become pretty important so that you can kind of clean out those subtle blockages. But then later on, when the energy is flowing much more freely with very little resistance, and you're beyond that middle stage, then diet becomes less critical. You can eat a heavier diet and not be limited by it. So that's why I can say that eating a little bit heavier diet here for the last 10 or 15 years has not really been a difficulty. In fact, it tends to keep you grounded, and that's an aspect of diet also. There are times when you will want to eat a heavier diet so that you're not flying off,
right,
being too airy and too flighty with the energy that's coming up. We call that a part of grounding.
Yes, I understand.
So there's a number of angles to it.
Okay, so that's pretty open and free for the choice of each individual. That they have to make a sensible choice for themselves. They're the ones on their own path, aren't they?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes the discussion shorter than maybe some would like for it to be.